Hey, while I just had something. I just wanted to know around how do you structure your apps and stuff. I was writing a blog regarding that, so I thought I'd just anyways ask opinion on that.
Yeah. So you mean like you mean to say like when we while we structure the basic app, or like or it's is it just like is it involving some Redux when it involves some Redux integration also?
Okay, so in general, like the components and the app general structure, like how do you do that?
The app general structure, as far as I think, it's like suppose like I take an example of CRA itself also, like the
Mm-hmm.
bootstrap, if we bootstrap the project with the CRA, so they gives us the basic structure with the components folder, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what I personally think is like or what I design is like I keep the stateless components or the dumb components as in under the components folder, and wherever I feel like this component should contain state, or should be concerned about my Redux store or something, that I consider that component I place under the containers folder.
Okay, so
And
you have this container and component structure.
yeah, yep.
Okay.
I follow I follow this thing, but yeah, I've seen like the again like the same thing that as even Kent mentioned, and other people also mentioned that it all depends it all varies from person to person plus organization to organization.
So that's what I wanted to know. Is there any general philosophy what you follow? I know it's generally it just depends on project, but
Yeah.
is there any philosophy that you follow to, work around? So
No,
you,
it's
I think
like
you.
even you know what like it's like when like these days React query is at its boom, I would say. So yeah, even with that, I think like the unless you have to make some heavy calls or something like that, I think like I mean to say like unless you really have to go with the Saga design patterns,
Mhm.
so React query is there, and definitely then I don't know if it hardly matters that you separate these container components or not, because
Mhm.
then you can perform all your query operations inside the component itself.
Okay. So what do you do in your organization or project for consistency's sake? You want some kind of consistency in the projects, right? Like.
Yeah, so yeah, here like I work in a product based organization, so like like if we want to change something, then yeah, we have to change everywhere. Like if you
Mhm.
want to adopt something, so in every product or in every new library or new component, new project that we are building. So here here we actually adopted this pattern only, like components and containers itself.
Okay. So
Yeah,
your basic philosophy is based on whether it's stateful or not, right? That's the
yeah, even
basic
like
idea.
yeah, even like we also structure like if um yeah if we here we focus like keeping the components as dumb as we can,
Okay.
unless it really wants to be concerned about the global state or the local state, right? And then
Mhm.
inside the containers we always create a store folder that contains the Saga reducers and actions for the container component.
Okay. I think makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, the I generally prefer the way. So my philosophy is component structuring. Baseline is depending on how you are going to reuse it. That's the baseline. If you're going to reuse it more often, it has to be higher up in the tree
Yes.
where your shareability is, and if it's not going to be used, then keep it anywhere inside, doesn't matter, right? That's the general, at least for me, the philosophy is. Just trying to, so I was trying to write a blog regarding this, so I thought let me just gather some thoughts for it regarding.
Yeah, even like we had this in mind, and I'm sure like many organizations do that,
Mhm.
because even like for 9 months I worked for Google itself as a contractor, so
Mhm.
there I also have seen this. So like here we adopted this. Like if we are if we have some generic component, or it can be a wrapper over some material UI component also, right? Suppose you have your own custom color picker or calendar control, something like that. So we what we did is like we created a library, right? That will be a common components library or something like that, right? And we place our components there. Or those will be, you can say, those will be pure prop based components. And yeah, maybe it can contain some internal states also, but yeah, those components we have separated out in a separate library that will be used company wide in all the other projects if we want to use them. So that like like again it introduces consistency.
Yeah.
If we have two products and we want to have we want user to select the date, right? So we will have a same calendar control across all the products.
Yeah, yeah. I think that makes sense.
Yeah. So
Hmm.
that's what we also do here.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, so we were discussing around component structures and sharing things.
Hmm.
So do you have any questions or anything, Arpan, or you just joined in as Mohit joined in?
Yeah, I just joined in. I don't have any questions or anything.
Okay, okay. Yeah, no issues. I think this is one of the. It's quite a calm server also. Like this is.
It's like I think it's due to time zone, because
Yeah.
you are in which time zone?
IST, Indian Standard.
Okay, right. So I think in Germany it's India is 5 hours ahead, right? Maybe.
5.5 hours.
Yeah. And and US is like early morning. So
US, I'm not. It's fine, but yeah,
yeah.
and it's not an issue. I thought it was anyways. Anyways, this will take time for catch on, so that's not a problem. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else you guys want to discuss? If not questions, we can just bring in topics to discuss also. That's also fine.
So
Just trying.
so you guys are using for routing, you guys are what you guys prefer to use, like connected router, like router V5, or you guys feel okay to jump to V6?
Uh, V6 has a lot of breaking changes.
Yeah.
So one of the biggest problem is the nested router thing. So it's we are not ready to as in like migrate as to just change the version. We don't use connected router. We don't use Redux. So that's a good thing for us. But otherwise, uh, yeah. So we'll have to gradually migrate per app based. Like we have monorepo with multiple apps. So each app has its own route. So in that way, we can migrate per app. That gives us that flexibility. So yeah.
I see. Yeah.
Hi, Junaid. Do you have any questions, Junaid? You're on mute. Just speak.
V6 is still in beta, right? It's not like fully out yet.
I don't think so. It's still.
Yeah.
It's I think it's still in beta.
Yeah.
I think they will be like going with the release after they have like stabilized remix for a bit, I think.
I was just going through their repo because I was planning to write an article over it, but yeah, then I thought like it's too early. Because I've seen some articles, but yeah, it's just like the articles that I saw, it's like just a copy paste of content from the original blog itself. So I thought like it's too early.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
and then
been in open beta for about what do you say, like for about or more than a year now.
Yeah.
They come out of the blog at around April last year, I think.
Yeah. I don't know what's the update over that, but yeah, it still have a lot of issues, and I don't know if anyone is using it in production itself right now or not.
Yeah, I mean Kent is, but I don't know anyone else is.
Yeah, because the exciting feature that I actually love is the ease of nested routing that it
Yeah.
provides.
That's really nice. But we still have to wait. I think they are focusing right now on Remix. So once Remix is done, I think they'll come back. I think Remix is based on this, so I'm sure they will still actively develop on this. But yeah, they'll have to.
I'm not sure. I didn't get a chance to read about Remix yet. Though I
Oh,
heard that in I guess last workshop or last to last this office hours Ken mentioned that he's migrating his own website or blog into Remix, but I didn't get a chance to uh, read about it exactly what is it and what's the principle, how it works.
yeah, it's kind of a different approach to server side rendering, like how Next.js is.
Mm-hmm.
But the APIs are much simpler. You could say much. I think low level APIs like you still have some kind of control. So if you go with Next.js, you do not have control on few things like you don't get the index.js for basic example, and you don't in CRA if you go over you have the index.js file, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you use then you have a lot of control on how they build and those kind of things work.
Yeah.
And Next.js or Gatsby, those things are not there. Those things are hidden from you. Remix is like a plug and play thing. So you could plug a part of your application to Remix. So that's what on a high level what it does. It's basically a server. It's another framework for server side React.
I see.
I wish they like did something with Code Sandbox or something so people can at least try it out before like they take a decision to buy a license to it. But right now everything is like you have to take the word of mouth from those people that have built it, and probably to good measure. Like they have built a lot of stuff for the React community over the past years, so people have put their trust on them. But yeah,
Yeah, I really like those videos what with HTTP caching and those things. I think
CDN caching, yeah. Those videos were really nice.
um,
What do you guys think about like TypeScript and static stuff? Like TypeScript for static websites. Will you prefer it or just go with normal JS?
static. I still haven't gone in the TypeScript wagon yet. I still prefer JS, but yeah, I see why people would like. This is the HTTP caching link. I think it's posted over here. It's very nice. You don't have to. It's nothing about Remix. It's just purely on how HTTP caching works. And there are few other videos from him. I think they're really nice.
I think like whatever you guys mentioned about Remix, then I don't know if you guys have you guys gone through that uh, even like I was in the live talk, but yeah, have you guys heard about React server components?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, is it
this.
like something similar? They are because they haven't published it yet, but maybe in React 18 or 19 they have this vision. But yeah, they introduced it. Still, because I'm following that RFC, and there are still open questions and doubts. And even like to be honest, the if you have gone through that tech talk, so it's an R video, I guess. If you go through that, the demo wasn't even clear. So yeah, it was not the expected demo that I expected. That okay, when they are ready to launch the new feature, and still they were not able to explain everything in that demo. So yeah.
Yeah, I think demo was fine. I think remix they're not solving exactly the same problem, like, but yeah, to an extent, yeah, they still solve. So one of the very nice thing about server side components is how you could structure your data fetching, right?
Mhm.
I know those are really nice things, but that allows. Same thing can be done in Remix too. Even they have, I think, APIs to do those part. But
All right.
but I think the APIs for server-side components is a bit more complicated than Remix APIs, at least from what I could see from the docs.
Okay.
And both of them are not. I have not used either one of them, so it's just based on whatever I've seen through docs and talks.
Yeah.
So Remix has a bit more easier APIs in that sense.
Okay, I see. Because I'm not because yeah, I just get a sense. Okay, because I have seen that video, then I thought like, all right, so React server components are somewhat what they are going to introduce is somewhat similar to Remix.
Not exactly the same. They have overlap in the problems they're solving, but they solve two different kinds of problems, I guess.
I see. So that's nice.
Yeah, I think.
There's also like a trend I've seen on Twitter recently. Like it's not about server components or Next.js or Remix or anything. It's just regarding testing in general. Where I've seen a lot of people have directly started picking up end-to-end tests for their UI and dropped integration and unit tests altogether. Uh, End-to-end tests with anything that they like Cypress, Puppeteer, or anything like that. Like I've seen Scott Tolinsky did it for his website, like Level Up Tutorials, and I've seen a lot of like opinionated people on Twitter also go the same route, that they have gone full on in end-to-end testing for the UI especially. So
I think if you want to, I'm not sure how effective you can test UI in specific. Cypress is not, I don't think it's really good with regression testing. Like it's good with layouts. Like just DOM does not do layouts, so you can. It's better in testing layouts in Cypress. But for testing UI, I think there are other tools. I'm not sure. Uh, I'm not sure of. Cypress would be the really good one. Even if you are doing testing with Cypress, one of my concerns is it's way too late to get any bugs. So if it's a very small application with 2-3 pages, it's much easier for you to figure out what's going wrong in Cypress test, right? But if you have really big application, you have multiple pages and tons, like hundreds of routes. Testing. So when you're testing in Cypress, you're a bit more high level, right? You're testing it way above. You're testing actually as a user. The
yeah,
problem is you're not mocking things out and things. So if something goes wrong, is it because your backend went down? Is it because your code was bad, or is it just network problem with connectivity with whatever the test server you're using? So there's a lot of points where it could break. So it's very late in, for me. It's way too late in on the development cycle to catch up bug. Unit tests are way too, like, unit tests are good, but I prefer integration tests because they're in between. They're not too early, but they are able to test. Unit tests, you are mocking tons of things, like, if quote unquote pure way of testing unit, properly you are testing a unit then. But yeah, so integration test, I feel that's the in between way. So it's not too late in the game to figure out if something goes wrong. So at the same time, you're still able to have some kind of developer experience. So I think that's.
yeah. I think it was fitting perfectly in that philosophy that people are like following for testing, that your test should resemble a perfect user, or how your user
Yeah,
would
that's
use your web
yeah,
page.
that's true. But the problem is testing every edge cases on such high level is very difficult. Like you will have
Hmm.
tons and tons of tests, which will be very difficult to. I mean, you'll have to spend a lot of time in covering each and every case. So the
Yeah,
more, so for example, let's say you want to test a, a user's plan being expired. Let's say you want to test how it shows up, and in testing, integration testing, what you could do is just mock the API saying the plan is expired.
yeah.
Actually do that in a test server, you need to make sure I do not know, like, I don't know how time specific things are done in these things, but probably a command or something has to be run to make sure a plan gets expired, or you should have a seed data with expired plans. So things get more complicated in testing in that sense.
And I also think like there is a real-time feedback that you get from Jest, right? While writing your tests,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
that you miss with Cypress as well.
There are some extension things which are you could integrate with your editors, and they will show the test failing while you're changing the code. So that's also really good for doing regressions. So you
Yeah.
can
Wait,
catch.
are you talking about like Jest or Cypress?
Yeah, just
Oh yeah.
there are just extensions which run on your VS Code, so you could really do easy. And Junaid has asked us a question saying, any learning path for backend with Node, MySQL, JS, MySQL, Next, and with Express. I've not used Next. I'm not sure what Next is. I'm not Sure, Junaid. So, if you have you started, do you have any experience in backend? Or you're completely starting backend. Like this is the first time you're doing backend. If you're here around, you could just first time. Okay, so the basic thing is start with Express with regular JSON APIs. That's easy to start with, and you could if you know MySQL, then relational database is a bit more complete, bit different to catch up. So you could start with, I would, if I'm starting with backend right now, I would start with Node.js and Mongo. They're very easy to get started. So you could learn basically how APIs and those things work. Once you are comfortable with those things, then I think you can migrate to MySQL. I'm not sure what next is. Let me just check what next is.
It's a query builder actually. Like
Okay.
how Mongoose is your ORM,
Okay.
it's a query builder.
Okay. Or it's not a ORM, but it's something in. So I have used SQLize for that. I've not used this. Yeah. Yeah, you would need some kind of ORM for, I think so. It should have been with your MySQL, right? It's writing query for your MySQL, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So ORM is okay. I think you could, that's not a big problem to solve, I think. Hmm, other than that, anything else, guys?
In like going back to the same point, like if I
Mhm,
had to get started with backend development right now,
mhm.
then I would probably go and learn a database first. Like if I had to start completely like from scratch, I don't know how to build a server or anything like that, then I would probably go and learn a database first, be it MySQL, be it Mongo or anything like that. Because I think the like writing queries and stuff, like if you have some programming experience and if you're coming from the front end, then going and learning a database first is gonna pay off
Yeah,
much
I
better
think
than just creating APIs from the beginning.
so. Thing is, for me, my learning things is basically there should be some kind of reward while you're learning something. You need to see some kind of progress. That's how I generally like. If I want to learn any language, I should be able to write a hello world immediately within 5 minutes. If you're not seeing a hello world, I'm like, this tech is too boring for me. Right? That's how for me. So the reason I would start with APIs or something is basically build something which you see things working. Like now you see, hey, things are working now. Now let me see. Okay, now AP. So the thing is, backend could, to store the data to start with. You can even have a temporary variable to store, or you could just have a MongoDB.
Hmm.
Just dump everything in a JSON. Right? This is easy to understand for us to. Once you start with that, now you know, hey, I know how to API works. Now I need to improve on my DB part. Now DB is, see, for DB to be a bottleneck, you will have to be, generally if you put anything DB, it will work for any kind of site applications. To that to be a bigger problem, you will have to it comes at a scale. It wouldn't come at beginning. So if you're learning anything, if you put it in a DB, if MySQL or Postgres, if you put it in a JSON Postgres field, or or in a MongoDB, it's fine. You can start with backend. Improve things once you're done with that. Then of course DB is important for you to learn. Like, without learning how to write you don't have to write queries, but if you know, if you're able to use the ORM, whatever driver, Mongoose driver or anything, so you should be fine with that. Yeah. Hey, so he's also here. He's on YouTube. He says database is integral part of backend development. Yeah, it's definitely a part. I'm not saying it's not part of backend development. You need to learn to completely know backend, but starting, I think, could be some basic APIs. That's where I would start with.
Yeah, I think like what you said has a big point as well. Like if you want visual feedback or you want some sort of a reward, then going with an API and okay, like I created a server and I'm getting response from that server is very, very important. Rather
Yeah.
than just going inside your console and writing queries and getting a result. But yeah.
So once your basic things are done, probably this within a week or two, you will be comfortable with writing routes and APIs and those things.
Mm.
Once you're done with that, now you could, improve on your DB skills and stuff. I think it's just few days of, for me, it's basically how you get reward of by while learning. You need to get something out of it. Otherwise, I would feel bored. So
It's funny you said that, like, you gave the hello world example, right? You want to see the hello world example as, like, right out of 5 minutes, 5 seconds, sorry. Like, it reminded me of, like, the days that I used to program in Java. I used to have to write so much boilerplate code just to get a hello world up in my screen.
Yeah, that's why I never went with Java. I preferred C++ before because of that. It was much easier. Like it was way less code to get started.
Exactly.
Java was so like tightly coupled with oops as well. Like everything was a class, everything was an
I
object,
never
and
understood that system. I don't know what is void system. I don't know. I don't remember that. And that you need to remember a phrase to start.
PHVM, public static void main, and
Probably. Yeah, probably.
even like I started working with Spring Boot, and you will laugh that it's funny for at least like if you want Hello World with a Spring Boot app, you have to do a lot of settings, man. You have to do a lot of settings, whether you go with Gradle or you go with Maven. It's a lot of settings, yeah.
yeah, and if you relied on like a reward type of a thing, then like just getting those settings configured is going to be like your reward for the day. You're just gonna get the
Yeah,
hello world part out of the way, and okay, all right,
Exactly.
I'm done for the day.
That's why like even like seeing these front end CRA, Spring Boot, as these Spring and all that, they gave the CRAs for this like kind of initiator packs for the Spring Boot applications also. Like you can just download the CLI, you can kickstart your API with the basic settings, because it's a lot of settings that you need to do for just app for just your API to set up, right? And then after that, I think like I feel like that is not the part where you end. If you want to host your API or run your API in Docker, then comes the most critical part: Docker, Kubernetes, and all that stuff. Yeah.
yeah. So that is a very, to start with, it's a very long, I don't know, it's a very huge barrier to start with. I think it should have easy to start with. Node is very easy. Right? You just need one file and it's like Node and the file just runs
Yeah.
and like it's-
Exactly.
you don't need to do anything. That's cool.
There's also another thing that I've seen recently, using other languages to build tools in JavaScript. So stuff like bundlers, uh, like there's a very famous bundler right now that people are using called ESBuild. It's written in Go. It outputs stuff in JavaScript though. And Jared Palmer, who is working on Turbo Repo, a monorepo solution, like a alternative to Lerna as well, he rewrote it entirely in Go like this past weekend. So what I was asking is, what do you guys think about those type of languages? Uh, does this have like a positive impact on the entire JavaScript ecosystem, or will people finally realize that okay, JavaScript is not that fast at how we were thinking, so we are just gonna leave this language for a better language like Go?
No, I don't think that will ever happen. The reason
Yeah.
JavaScript or Python for that reason exists is not because they're fast languages to fast as in fast in terms of execution or CPU, like whatever their fastness is.
Yeah, a particular like platform can understand them. That's why.
The reason is these languages are very easy to write.
Hmm.
Is to understand Node, JS or Python, they are very easy to start with. You don't have to learn a lot of. I mean, to get things. The reason we were saying about how Java working, right? The things you need to know just to start the app is very difficult. Just to get a hello world. Those things are much easier in these JS or Python. They're easy to what is it, prototype, and they stand. They work well for very good. Till you are probably for millions of users also it will work scale well.
Hmm.
Post that, it's a problem where scalability and those things might be a problem. Like it's not. I think there are big companies using Nodes. I'm not saying it's a big problem, but yeah, Go and probably Rust. They're made for solving very specific high performance problems.
Yeah.
So the languages are also a bit difficult to write. So I'm not. So for those reasons, I don't think will ever go. It's not that C was slow. That's not the reason. C is still probably the fastest language you could still be right. C is as fast. Go might be slower. C and I think Rust could be equally similarly fast in terms of the CPU execution and those things. But the reason these APIs, these language, high-level languages, no, bit more high-level languages is much easier for us to write. So for till that is important part of your application, I think it's still stick around.
Yeah, I'm just happy that so much innovation is happening, in particularly in the build step of JavaScript applications, and people are actually considering like killing off Babel or something like that.
Babel doesn't. I don't know. Like Babel has a lot of things. I do not know. Is there any good alternate for Babel? I have not used any alternative for Babel.
I think there was this.
Back, but
I've seen something like Rome or something that came up a few months ago, and I think it's still like under active development. It is
yeah,
created like it is still created by the creator of Babel, I think.
I'm not sure who did this, but yeah, I have not seen any alternative for Babel yet. Like anything which could be used in production. Like I'm not seeing.
Mm-hmm.
But there
Yeah,
are versions for Webpack though. There are other bundlers and things that they exist, but I have not seen any transpiler that as good as Babel.
Yeah, for polyfilling, I haven't come across, but yeah, the bundlers, even like not to mention those two bundlers I have worked with, Rollup and Webpack. I think they did the job pretty well.
Yeah, I think that's true.
Because Webpack is expanding very fast, and I think like they have solution for everything right now. Most of the things right now.
Yeah, but Webpack is a bit slow though. Like I feel it's a bit slow.
Yeah, can say that definitely.
But it's the far.
But still, as far like as far like it's a good tool,
It's a very stable and well battle tested tool. So I'm not.
reliable. Yeah,
Yeah. So I'm not saying Webpack. I don't know. Stop using Webpack, but I would still use Webpack. But it's still like I see there is could be more. It could be much faster. Probably. Probably there's some tools. Probably they
yeah.
also
Oh,
rely.
yo, what's up?
Hi Tiger. Oh, what's happening?
Hi, I'm doing great. I'm doing great. I just came off for like 2 hours of writing end-to-end tests. It's been so much fun today.
Great.
That's
I love testing, man.
You love testing, so I think.
Yeah, especially end-to-end tests when you see the browser. It's exactly like the user,
That's great. So, do you have any questions or anything, or you're just hanging around?
Ooh, I have one question I wanted to ask Ken, but I will throw it in here. It's like out of curiosity. I don't need this at the moment. I will need it in the future.
Okay.
When writing tests for a chat application, right?
Mhm.
Usually I see people, they open two browsers, two tabs, and they do some manual testing, when you watch tutorials or wherever. But how would you sort of automate this, with Cypress maybe, or Puppeteer, whatever, maybe Playwright? I don't know if anyone has done this before, but how would you guys approach it, writing tests for a chat application?
So yeah, I assume your chat is based on WebSockets, or is it like?
Yeah, WebSockets, like two people chatting with each other.
Yeah, so I think all you need to do is mock WebSockets, right? So then you're sorted.
But what if you don't want to mock it? If you
But actually want to test the other person
yeah.
is typing. Well, I don't. The only thing is what you could do is you can create a ping pong like endpoint on your test server. So if you get a message, you respond back. So in that way, you're just testing is this connection working? So if it's if a request goes up, is it coming back? That you could test it. You cannot. I don't think there is. Cypress doesn't allow you to test with multiple tabs. That's not possible with Cypress. You can only have one tab.
I read about it in documentation. Is you need to do, like you said, spin up a server or something, or a separate server.
In your test server, having a ping pong, kind of a response for your WebSocket chats would be would be the without marking your sockets. I think that would be the solution. That would be something I would try out.
Mm.
Probably, I'm not sure. Is there any better solution to that?
Yeah. I'm not gonna do it anytime soon. I wanna build a chat application, but that was sort of a thing I had in my mind in the past weeks. Because every time I see a certain feature, I always think, okay, how should I test this thing? And some things are harder to test than others.
Yeah, that's definitely true. Few things are a bit hard to test.
I think what you mentioned, like, I have never seen anyone do that, like automating UI testing while you're developing. I think everybody just, I used to think that everybody just opens tab and sees the changes in front as they happen when it comes to UI, especially when you're developing.
Yeah.
Like,
I think that's
uh,
the easier way to handle. For testing UI, what is it? The other tools. Cypress is not good for testing UI in specific. You would need different tools for testing UI. I don't
Yeah,
know
even
what it's
like
called.
even I would like to mention, because Tiger, I remember you are diving deep into accessibility thingy, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I would like to mention one thing, like if you talk about UI aspects, right? So because in UI aspect, you can consider the snapshots, right? The font sizes, colors, right? And if you are talking about a chat application itself, right? You ping some messages, you want to know the message text also, or the text size also. So I just want to highlight some points that we need to consider. It's like these text size, text colors, right? And all these things also varies with OS, right? It depends like on which OS your application is running on, and you might get different results over that also. So I think like uh, you have to, like, if you really want to test your chat application, they must Cypress is not good. I don't think so. Cypress is that good.
Yeah, I don't think.
So
So
testing
I think.
functionality is okay. Testing functionality is as I think Cypress can be spun on multiple ways, so that's not the problem. But the thing is, if your UI changes, right, that is something Cypress wouldn't be able to detect as long as that UI is usable. All it cares is the text. If you want a text to be there, and if it checks the text is queryable, right? That's all it matters to Cypress. It wouldn't test if that particular has shifted in layout, right? That doesn't matter for Cypress. You can't test whether the layout has shifted in. So when it comes to UI, your layout matters to you.
Yeah,
So
even
you
like Cypress supports that with the its I forgot, like, but yeah, Cypress supports the snapshot testing, I guess. It captures the images, right? And then you can mention the threshold, right? Threshold values for the pixel thresholds, like how many how if these many pixels changes, then yeah, your test will fail because something has changed. Your button size has changed, or your button position has been changed. And even like it records the videos also. So these two things Cypress provide, but I haven't used it, so I don't know how much effective these are.
I have not used. I don't know whether Cypress has regression testing or not. I don't think. I have heard Apply. You have heard Apply, right? Apply was, I think, something which Cypress puts in their documentation also. So this is a
yeah, I actually linked it in Discord.
yeah, right, Apply, huh? So Apply tools is something which is good for testing your regression. I think Cypress also recommends using Apply, I guess. I do not know whether they recommend or not. I think that link is there in their docs.
Yeah, that was something that which was mentioned in TestJS Summit. Apply tools is you can use it to test your
Yeah.
UI. But
So
but
this is
I
good for
think I
testing
think I
regression.
think I think for something that I would try is Playwright. Playwright for it's like Puppeteer but better. I've heard for testing chat application. If I was writing a chat application, I would try that. So I would spin up two different browsers or two different tabs simultaneously, two accounts.
I don't know whether you could still spun up two different tabs because that's a huge security concern for browsers. right? Like you are able to switch between tabs is not something browser gives control to. As a user, you could switch tabs, but from JS, you cannot switch tabs. There's a security thing which I don't think browsers will allow. If browsers are not allowing, I don't think any tools could allow to do that. So the two things what you're discussing here is one is what Cypress is for your layout test, layout as in you're making sure your CSS and those things are working well. But it wouldn't test whether your regression is good. If you're pushing any CSS change, is it breaking the previous UI? That is something I think you need to use tools like Apply or something where it would do a regression testing, like what was your previous one and what is the new thing. So that is good for your regression testing for any application, with chat or anything.
So like the next question is like visual regression testing, where would you put it in the testing trophy?
Why? I didn't get it, sorry.
Like like Ken talks about this testing trophy, like where end-to-end tests are at the top and then integration tests should take up most of your code base or something. So where would you put visual regression testing
Visual
in this?
regression testing, so thing is, I wouldn't really bother that much in your applications. It's more useful for if you're building a component library or something, right? It's if you're so there you want your entire work is based on your application, your user components exactly the same after it changes. So your regression is part of your end-to-end test, but it depends on how much time, how much effort do you want to put it in testing those regressions. Do you Of course it's part of an end-to-end, so how much time you're spending in end-to-end, you could take some chunk out of time from that part and assign it to regression testing to check. So I would probably do some smoke testing or something to check my layouts are still working fine in it's not I wouldn't test for every scenario. I'll just check few cases, probably some critical paths on my regression, seeing if UI is still maintained in that sense. That's what probably I would do.
Anyways, take care. I need to leave. Bye bye.
Bye bye. Yeah, that's great. Anything else, guys? Let me check. Server is anything is going on. No, I don't see anything happening. Good. Mohit was going to say something?
No.
No, okay. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I think this is good enough for today, I guess. Is there, if we are done, I think we can just wind up, I guess.
Yeah, all right.
Cool. Thanks for joining, guys. I think we can end. Bye.
Yeah, sure. Bye-bye.